The NBA is in absolute turmoil, reeling from the bombshell revelation of Kawhi Leonard's alleged $28 million scandal. The reactions are getting wilder by the minute, with former players, owners, and insiders scrambling to make sense of what could be the biggest salary cap controversy in league history.
Man, now the NBA is tapped into what's going on with the Clippers, man. They're making sure it wasn't no funny business. Last time the deal on the table got done, man, your guy, Joe Smith.
You're one of the richest men in America.
They conned me. I made an investment in these guys thinking it was on the up and up, and they conned me. At this stage, I have no ability to predict why they might have done anything they did, let alone the specific.
The first bomb dropped from someone who knows the Clippers locker room inside and out, Jeff Teague, the former NBA point guard who played alongside Leonard during the 2020-21 season, didn't hold back when Pablo Torre's explosive investigation hit the airwaves. Teague jumped on his Club 520 podcast faster than Kawhi sits out games, and what he had to say was absolutely devastating. He claimed Leonard effectively got money off the books to pull up to LA, funneled through his paper companies. But this wasn't just wild speculation. Teague was there when this madness was supposedly going down. He pointed out how the allegations claimed Leonard received $28 million through his KL to Aspire LLC for essentially doing nothing. No promotions, no social media, no tree planting ceremonies, nada. Teague broke it down, connecting Leonard's notorious load management habits to what he called load managing endorsements too. He emphasized this wasn't just about money, but about the integrity of the entire salary cap system.
Leonard to breach,
and it got juicier.
Right to control
Teague
content,
went full forensic accounting, dissecting how Ballmer's $50 million investment in Aspiration happened just months before Leonard's deal. The timing, he argued, was more suspicious than a player being day-to-day for 3 months straight, comparing the potential penalties to the infamous Joe Smith case from 2000, which absolutely hammered the Timberwolves. What made Teague's take so compelling was his personal connection. When he says something smells fishy, people listen. But that wasn't the only dramatic reaction.
The league stinks right now. Views are low. I agree. They are waiting on the claw. I say, tell my boy Jerm, I say, lock the. He said, I'm going to get right, I'm on the way. Silent assassin.
Now, here's where things got really interesting. Because when Mark Cuban speaks about NBA drama, people listen. The Dallas Mavericks owner and billionaire entrepreneur didn't just casually comment. He went full investigative mode, even ending up in a 3-hour debate with Pablo Torre himself. But Cuban's take was fascinating because while everyone else was either roasting Kawhi or blasting Ballmer, he took a completely different approach. Cuban came out swinging for Team Ballmer from the jump, but not in the way you might expect. On his lengthy Twitter thread, Cuban basically said that while he wishes the Clippers had circumvented the salary cap because it would have helped his Mavericks, he doesn't think Ballmer is stupid enough to actually do it. The man literally tweeted that Steve isn't that damn dumb to risk everything on a scheme that could blow up so spectacularly. But here's where Cuban got really clever. He flipped the entire narrative and made Aspiration the villain instead of the Clippers. Cuban pointed out that Aspiration's co-founder Joe Sandberg had already pleaded guilty to $248 million in wire fraud, making Ballmer more of a victim than a conspirator. He argued that if Ballmer was really trying to funnel money to Leonard, why would he let the company go bankrupt and expose everything to the world? Then Cuban dropped an absolute bombshell during his appearance on Pablo Torre's follow-up podcast. Aspiration had actually tried to pitch him a partnership back in 2020, and he had declined. Cuban literally said he dodged a bullet by not getting involved with what he now knows was a fraudulent company. The timing of this revelation was perfect, showing Aspiration was casting a wide net, trying to rope in wealthy NBA owners. What made Cuban's defense so effective was that he wasn't just blindly supporting another billionaire, he was using logic and evidence. He pointed out that the bankruptcy filing made all of Aspiration's creditors visible, including KL2 being owed $7 million, which would be incredibly stupid if you're trying to hide a conspiracy. Cuban's argument was essentially that criminals this sloppy couldn't have pulled off a sophisticated salary cap circumvention scheme. But Cuban wasn't completely letting everyone off the hook. He did acknowledge that if the allegations were proven true, the entire Clippers leadership would be done, and the penalties would be far worse than the Joe Smith situation. While Cuban was playing defense attorney for his fellow owner, the league's insider reporters were getting ready to spill some serious tea about what was really happening behind closed doors in NBA front offices. When Brian Windhorst starts talking about what's happening behind closed doors in NBA front offices, you know you're about to get some serious insider information. The ESPN veteran veteran and Hoop Collective host, didn't just report on the Kawhi Leonard situation. He gave us a window into how the entire league was reacting to what might be the biggest salary cap scandal in NBA history, and what he revealed was absolutely wild. Windhorst reported that players throughout the league were privately stunned but publicly silent about the allegations, which tells you everything you need to know about how seriously people are taking this situation. These aren't just random accusations. This is serious enough that active players are afraid to even comment publicly for fear of interfering with the investigation or facing potential fines. But here's where Windhorst's insider knowledge really shined. He talked about how the timing of this scandal actually works in the league's favor because it broke during the offseason, allowing time for a thorough investigation before training camps. However, he also pointed out that if this drags on too long, it could completely derail the Clippers' preparation for the 2025-26 season, which would be devastating for a team trying to maximize their championship window. What made Windhorst's analysis so compelling was his skepticism about the circumvention claims themselves. While acknowledging the deal looked unusual, he questioned whether it was an intentional scheme or just the result of Aspiration's broader fraud operation, pointing out that if it was a calculated attempt to circumvent the salary cap, allowing the company to go bankrupt and expose everything to the world would be incredibly stupid. Windhorst also provided crucial context about the league's investigation process, explaining how the NBA immediately hired Watch to Lipton, Rosen & Katz, one of the most prestigious law firms in the country, to conduct their investigation. This isn't some casual inquiry. This is the legal equivalent of bringing in a SWAT team. Perhaps most importantly, Windhorst emphasized that while the allegations are serious, the league's primary concern is maintaining the integrity of the salary cap system. If teams start believing they can circumvent the cap through third-party endorsement deals, it would fundamentally undermine the competitive balance that makes the NBA successful. The stakes couldn't be higher, and everyone in the league office knows it. But while Windhorst was revealing the behind-the-scenes panic among league insiders, the basketball media's analytical minds were preparing to tear this deal apart piece by piece with surgical precision.